Mad Max and the Terminator exist in the same cinematic universe. This might be my headcanon, but I have a lot more proof than you would think. Directed by McG and starring Christian Bale, Sam Worthington, and the plasticiest Arnold Schwarzenegger you've seen since Jingle All the Way. It's day 54 of 365, today's movie, Terminator Salvation. I feel like the only major issue with this movie is that they didn't follow the aesthetic that was laid out in Terminator 1 and Terminator 2 for what this future looks like. Yes, I'll even give you Terminator 3. They did a decent job of that as well. I think if Salvation had matched that aesthetic and given us the future we've come to know in these movies, I think we would have enjoyed it a lot more, or at least I could have forgiven a lot more. John Connor as a side character, yeah, I can defend that. That's not the worst idea you could have. Having Sam Worthington waffle between, is he a Terminator? Is he not a Terminator? Is he going to give up his humanity? Is this an explanation for why the T-800 becomes human in the second movie? I don't know if we needed all that. God, what a fucking run-on sentence. This movie, when it's not boring as fuck, is just confusing as fuck for the decisions that they made. It's kind of like it's all lore and nothing else. Like a nutritional salad without any of the dressing. It's confusing to me for things like Sam Worthington playing what is essentially a sympathetic Nazi character, and the imagery is baked in there, don't get me wrong. But then you have good things like Bloodgood being charismatic as fuck. She could have carried this whole movie. You know what, honestly, I want to restart this review. I want to start this over again. Let me do this one more time. Okay, we're starting over. Let's keep things positive. I think Anton Yelchin as Kyle Reese is genuinely excellent. A young version of this character is a version we haven't seen before, and knowing that this is the father of the main character and seeing the disconnect between them, I thought was a really interesting thing. The whole movie could have been Bloodgood protecting our Anton Yelchin's Kyle Reese from the woes of the wasteland. I'm getting around to this Mad Max thing, I promise. But then we'll have entire sequences that don't need to be in the movie at all, and instead could have been replaced with more character building, more opportunities for our characters to act out. Sam Worthington goes from being totally robotic, an actual Terminator, to really playing up his emotional beats. This is an actor that I'm not usually the most fond of. I'm confused as to what he's even trying to communicate through this character. Like I said, is this evidence for why the T-800 in Terminator 2 ends up becoming more human? Is this the prototype to that? If so, then why is he like so much more robotic sometimes and then emotional other times? You know what? I'm getting frustrated again. If this franchise can just restart and restart, I'm going to keep restarting this review. Okay, one last time. I'm taking this seriously. I really love the giant Terminator kaiju sequence. This is the shit that starts to remind me the most of Mad Max. Yes, we're still getting to that. I love the way that they've envisioned the adaptations of the Terminator in this future. They can fly, they can roll, they can walk. They're building giant robots to take care of their problems. There's nothing that they can't do with industry. It's a really, really good metaphor. But I just keep coming back around to this idea that Bloodgood could have been the lead of this movie and given us a so much better movie for it. No, I'm going to stay positive. I loved the submarine as the main base. That is such a cool idea. And then to have John Connor frogging in the way that he does, that could have been its whole own sequence on its own. Instead of us then getting a later sequence where he hotwires a motorcycle Terminator to take off down the road, I guess for some kind of Dark Knight kind of reference. I don't know what they were thinking. It's not necessary, though. I'll feed you baby birds. Okay, here's the Mad Max Terminator tie-in. In the world of the Terminator, we all know Judgment Day, they drop the bombs. Now, as this movie's showing us, humans are on the run. They're being rounded up into human internment camps, and this is where the Nazi metaphor came in. So at this point, I would really like to point out that Mad Max has concentrated his movies into the center of Australia. In the newest Furiosa, they even show us, they zoom in, our first time seeing things from a map bird's eye view, that in this world, they've gone into the center of the continent, the unreachable, unusable areas they've adapted to. Now, why would they do this? And why would they worship machines in the way that they worship machines? My theory, and it's based on a little bit of Immortan Joe's costuming. If you pay attention to his breastplate in Mad Max Fury Road, he's got computer chips on that breastplate. Isn't that interesting? I find that to be very, very interesting, that they would worship machines, that he would decorate himself like a war general with tags of actual machinery and computer technology. I believe that the Mad Max universe is what happened in Australia after the events of Terminator in America. Now, again, this is all headcanon. I can't prove any of this, but I do happen to think that these things line up way too well and are coming out around the same time. They're actually even talking about the same things. The oil crisis in the 80s is what leads into movies like Mad Max, like Terminator, where they're looking at a world that's running out of resources, looking at a future that is dire, and then contrasting and comparing the two. Now, I have more evidence, but I don't have enough time to go into it. If you'd like more, I can do an entire video just on Mad Max being in the Terminator universe, or vice versa, however you want to look at it. Our next movie is Up. Sorry for the tonal whiplash the last few days, but I went to see a lot of crazy shit back in 2009. And I'll see you tomorrow.